This article is on chess.com. It's called Chess Trolling: The Good, the Bad, and the Ugly by Gregory Serper. This is an article from November 10th, 2022. The article says, we live in the internet age and trolling is part of it, whether you like it or not. Since chess is quickly transforming into an online game, we discuss this topic here, we all have seen numerous cases of chess trolling. In this article, I would like to discuss how this phenomenon of modern chess affects the future of our favorite game. First of all, let's loosely define what trolling is. In dozens of definitions of trolling found online, you'll see words like hostility, harassment, or provocation. Since we are going to talk specifically about chess trolling, I think we can summarize it as an intentional attempt to ruin other people's enjoyment of the game. If we accept this definition, you can ask, how in the world can chess trolling be good? Well, two of my favorite trolling chess games are these. So this is one of my legendary games. This is against Crafty. This was way back in the old days, but basically it's not too different from what we've seen in some games already online, where eventually I think I get like 6 knights. Yeah, I end up with a ton of knights at the end of the game, and eventually I make the checkmate. Yeah, it's very straightforward. Here we go, and then make another knight, and eventually there is a checkmate here on move number 155. Perfect setup with the knights on all these critical squares. First example. Second game is a game between myself and Ribka. Very, very similar. Now I will talk about this very briefly because I play this with the black pieces. In the programming, or in the old days of programming of computers, in a position like this, it's completely clogged up. You see both sides of 8 pawns here. But because white has 2 rooks against the bishop and knight, the coding in Ribka and Crafty at the time basically said that if you have a material winning advantage, before you hit move 50, you will play a move that keeps the advantage in the short term, even though horizon wise it can't see. So eventually, after we wait 50 moves, it finally blunders by playing c4. This is just me understanding the hack and the coding glitch that it had at the time. As you'll see, it repeats forever, but at the end of the day, because it has the 2 rooks versus the bishop and knight, eventually before we hit move 50, it plays this move c4, which is a big mistake. And eventually I go on to win the game, because now I can reroute the knight and the bishop, and at the right moment here I'm able to eat all the pawns, and then I have just this pawn flanks on the queen side. And if we go all the way down to the very end, eventually I end up making a checkmate here with how many bishops do I have here? I've got 5 bishops. So eventually get this clean checkmate with the 5 bishops. This is another game that I won. Let's keep going. In these 2 games, the American chess Superman, GMHikaru Nakamura, publicly humiliated top chess engines of the day, but no one got offended and pretty much everyone enjoyed the process. Well, of course they did, because it was against a computer. A computer has no feelings, so it can't really be hurt. Anyway, that's where I should have put on a Superman costume like Ludwig would have done and just ripped off my shirt. But unfortunately, I haven't read this article yet, so I wasn't aware of that. Anyway, there are good ways to troll opponents as well. I even wrote an article 2 years ago about an opening for chess trolls. I was referring to the Aliekin's defense. Or imagine a situation where you're playing a strictly positional player who wants to reach his favorite position in the Ruy Lopez. Suddenly you surprise him with the King's Gambit. He is probably thinking, are you kidding me, playing this junk? Now this is a bad example because the King's Gambit these days is definitely semi-playable. So if you think about it, you are ruining his playing experience, because he is going to enjoy the sharp positions of the King's Gambit much less than he would enjoy his pet lines in the Ruy Lopez. But this is the nature of our sport, and I suppose when you checkmate your opponent's king, you most probably ruin his playing experience as well. Now let's talk about bad chess trolling. Say we see the following game: Wesley So versus Fabiano Caruana. Okay, and we get the King E2 Bond Cloud. Now they say this is bad trolling because probably this happened in a real game, and Fabiano just smoked Wesley, I assume. So this is quote unquote bad trolling, everybody. Bad trolling. Okay. We can argue about the quality of King's Gambit or Aliekin's defense. For example, GM Bobby Fischer believed that he had refuted the King's Gambit with his defense 3d6. Nevertheless, no one is going to deny that both openings have a clear chess goal. Meanwhile, an opening like the one played by GM Wesley So in the game above has no chess point whatsoever. It has only one goal: to affect the opponent in one way or another. If you are still not sure what I'm talking about, here is one more example from a recent Title Tuesday tournament. This game, I remember, I was actually okay in this game out of the open. It was very frustrating because I lost this game And I was completely fine. Like, this game was just completely equal here in the middle game, but I ended up blundering. I overpressed in this. I think it was a knight versus bishop end game that we got to at some point, and I ended up overpressing, and I ended up losing this game, which was very, very sad. As I said, should have been a draw. I ended up losing, but it is what it is. All right, let's keep going. Do I hate the opening played by Nakamura? You bet. And he was close to losing the game right away after an early attack on the f2 square, similar to the following short game. Now, correction, you guys, because I remember this game and the opening very clearly, but with all due respect to Mr. Gregory Serper, when he says that I was close to losing the game, in this position, if black tries to hang on to the pawn, with, I think, bishop takes d2 and queen e7 or f6, the computer online at least gives white an advantage of about +1, as I remember from when we did a brief analysis of this opening. So Mr. Serper would do well to do some analysis and understand that actually giving up this pawn is completely playable, and if black tries to keep the pawn by trading the bishop for the knight and then guarding with f6 or queen e7, white is substantially better. So he's a little bit mistaken there, but it's okay. It's what it is. All right, what do we have? We have this other opening, which is, what is this? This is a French. This is not from a game, but this is some French line. Oh, and white resigns. Funny opening. Let's keep going though. No matter how much I hate the opening played by Nakamura, it is impossible to deny that it has some points. The fianchetto of the light square bishop and gaining space on the king side. So to me, it is similar to, quote unquote, the offensive chess opening e4, e5 to queen h5, which was another move Nakamura occasionally played at one point. I hope now you can see the difference between the openings played by Nakamura and so. Now, let me talk about the really ugly part of chess trolling. When leading grandmasters troll each other, they might see it as something innocent, sort of an inside joke, if you will. What they forget is that they are role models for many aspiring players, and for instance, kids do whatever their idols do. Here's a game from the recently concluded 17th Susan Polgar Foundation National Open for girls and boys. So now we get f3, e5, king f3, e5, king f2. Okay, knight f6, e3. So this is player A versus player B. Okay, now of course everybody who's seen this, they would have seen this in my game against Jan-Krzysztof Duda in the CGC recently, but I've of course had many Bond Cloud games which are very similar to this. Anyway, let's keep going with the article. The players are no beginners, mind you. Rated close to USCF expert level, there is clearly no chess reason to play one king f3 followed by two king f2 other than to troll the opponent, and I see a huge problem here. To explain it, let me borrow an idea from a famous musician I know. He said that when he watched a beautiful documentary about the legendary pianist Sviatoslav Richter, he noticed that there were only a couple thousand views despite the video being posted many years ago. Next to this documentary, he saw a video of a contemporary musician where every other word could have been bleeped out. That video had several million views in a matter of days. Okay, this is actually really, really good. And that is a problem of modern society. He argued that if they taught classical music in schools, it would raise the general level of culture and eventually would lower the crime level and possibly prevent many wars. That's I know that's a bit of a stretch, but prevent many wars, I don't know about that. I already explained a long time ago why I avoid topics even remotely political, so I'll stop right here. But I think you get the point of this brilliant person. The point of this brilliant person and or Mr. Gregory Serper is quite straightforward. People should not watch Levy's random videos on the London opening system because at the end of the day, it's very basic. It's geared toward players who are low rated and it's not serious. Whereas somebody who does a really long theoretical course on, say, Chessable, for example, that should get millions of views and everybody should be watching that a lot more. That is essentially the essence of what is being said here. Anyway, let's keep going. That is not my take, by the way. That is very clearly the translation of what is being said here. Anyway, let's keep going. Now let's get back to chess. Many of my younger students have never heard about the opera game, but all of them know the Bond Cloud. Now, to be fair, again, to Mr. Gregory Serper, there was a very famous short collaboration I did about 2 years ago with Mr. Yasuo, also known as Mo, a very famous League of Legends streamer, where we did actually look at the opera game. And in fact, the opera game video, I think that Antonio Radic, also known as the Gadmotor, did, has gotten a lot of views. So a lot of people actually are familiar with the opera game. So it's a little bit of a mistake here. Anyway, let's keep going. But all of them know about the Bond Cloud. We are losing chess culture with every passing minute. The things that were unthinkable when chess was still the royal game are becoming a sad reality during the transformation of chess into the internet meme game. Okay. Amazing stuff. Okay, just imagine the author of the opera game Paul Morphy. Just imagine how the author of the opera game Paul Morphy would have reacted to a game that started 1 e4 e5 2 king e2. He would probably have quit chess much sooner. He would have quit chess before he did. Exciting. Okay. Okay. If during my childhood years a master told me that he would secretly help me during my games, I would be surprised and wonder whatever for. I started playing chess because I was enchanted by this beautiful world. I could be creative there and basically could do whatever I wanted to do. What would be the point of just repeating the moves that such a master would tell me to play? And yet too many players today see nothing wrong in using computer help, which I believe is a direct result of the absence of a stronger chess culture. Okay, wait. So basically what he's saying here, if I understand this correctly, is he's saying that the reason people see nothing wrong with potentially cheating in chess is because the chess culture is just like so memed down and so basic that people think everything is possible. If I understand correctly. If I understand this correctly, I think that's what he's saying. Wow. Okay, stronger chess culture. Wow. Indeed, if you see chess as a whole different world full of magic and freedom that you cannot find in real life, you would never ruin this world just to gain extra rating points and steal some prize money. To paraphrase the aforementioned musician, if you want to stop cheating as a global problem, you need to significantly raise the level of general chess culture. And since our top gems are ambassadors of our favorite game, they need to realize their responsibility and act accordingly. I don't understand where this went off tangent, because we're talking about trolling and somehow we went from trolling to cheating, which I'm a little bit confused by, honestly. I don't understand where that transition occurred, but it did occur. So basically people like myself, Magus, and everyone else, and you know, of course, all the creators like Levy, Eric, and Antonio, etc., we're all obviously being very irresponsible. We're not understanding our position in the world, and we're not teaching kids proper chess culture. So we're not serious enough. We're not treating the game seriously, and because of that, kids these days, they don't have this great understanding of our great royal game and our great chess culture. Amazing stuff. What can I say? So what an article. I think this is a troll. I highly doubt that he's being serious, but there's something very funny to this article, not to this article specifically, but to the author, Mr. Gregory Serper, because there was a famous game between Serper and Nakamura, of course. Let me see if I can pull it up very briefly. US Championship, let me see. Here we go. We're gonna pull up this game from 2004 between Mr. Gregory Serper playing with Gregory Serper with white piece playing against young Hikaru Nakamura. This was the US Championship in 2004 in San Diego, which was called the 2005 US Championship for legal reasons. I did go on to win this tournament. Of course, it was the first time I won a US Championship, but that's not really the point of what I'm going to show here. So the point of what I'm going to show you guys here is we get a pretty classic opening. We got basically a Slav defense here. I'm playing with the black pieces. Nothing too exciting, standard stuff. And at a critical moment here, my opponent Gregory with the white pieces, he plays bishop e1, knight g3, and now he starts waiting. My opponent here decides to just wait with bishop e1 and bishop d2 for I think the next 10 moves. Basically, he keeps going bishop e1 and bishop d2, as you can see. He keeps doing it, and now finally the game takes on a different transition here. But for about 10 moves, he basically goes bishop t2 and bishop e1. And I remember at the time, a lot of people were very angry at him. Even though the game ended in a draw, they were like, you can't be doing this. You can't just keep going bishop d2 and bishop e1 for 10 moves in a row. It's just, you can't do that. So I remember when we played the game, he was actually very he was getting, there were a lot of people who were very angry at him for doing that. So it's pretty funny to look at this article about trolling. I assume it's a joke, but nonetheless, I just have to show you this little bit of a game. And unfortunately, this game did end in a draw.